Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Very welcome. Unfortunately, my partner in crime, Gabby, couldn't make it tonight, but I'm joined by the lovely Kara. I'm very curious to hear where you are at the moment. So please leave a message in the comment section, and then we can read where you are. I'm personally in Utrecht in the Netherlands. And I'll introduce myself. I'm Savannah. I am a community leader for women in tech in the Netherlands, and I work at Unit 4, which is an enterprise software developer. And now I'd like to introduce Kara.
Thank you so much, Savannah. And it's wonderful to be here tonight and great to see where all the people are coming in from. I'm personally dialing in from the north of Holland in a little village called Bergen, North Holland tonight. And it's a pleasure to be back with all of you again today. What I'm going to do, in fact, Savannah, is a short introduction on my side, because I know we have a global audience. I'm seeing Albania and Boston and Germany. And so, we have a global audience that's joining us tonight. And what I wanted to do was to introduce everyone to women in tech. And so what I will do is give me a moment to manipulate the screen so I can share some slides with you. Okay. And so, what I would like to do is just walk you very briefly through an introduction of women in tech and the Insight series that we have been running over the last couple of months. So, tonight we're going to dive in deep and we're going to walk you through some insights on taking charge of your career. I'm really going to leave that topic to the experts, but what I wanted to do was very briefly introduce you to women in tech for those of you that may not be as familiar with what we're here to do. And so, Women in Tech is a global organization, a global movement, in fact, and it was founded by a fabulous woman by the name of Ayumi Aoki Moore. And Ayumi is based in Paris, France, and a very global woman herself, coming from Brazil and Portugal, and even has some Japanese in her background. And Ayumi had a beautiful insight to say, I'm not seeing enough women being recognized for the great work they're doing in technology. And by the way, we have a massive gap. The gap in the Netherlands specifically is that only 7% of individuals who are graduating with a higher degree are studying in technology as are women. And 30% of that same number are men. So we have a massive gap in terms of the number of women that are looking at technology as a course of study. And obviously, that's not helping our funnel when we get to the stage of career. And so we are on a mission. And the mission is to close that gender gap and to enable and to excite more girls and women to choose for a course of study and ultimately for a career in the field of technology. Now, here in the Netherlands, we launched about a year ago, and I'm really proud that more than 2,200 people have chosen to be a part of this movement and to follow what we're doing and to really take part in helping to move the bar. And globally, we have today nearly 30,000 people who are following the movement. And what you're seeing is that we're creating impact. We have decided to align ourselves on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and we chose 5 primary areas in order to really look at how we could drive with purpose and also really lead with impact in the work that we're doing. So we're focused obviously on gender equality, and that's at the heart of everything that we do. We're looking at education, entrepreneurialism, social inclusion, and science and innovation. So, to tell you a little bit more about those areas very briefly, what we're doing in education is we're looking at how we can offer advanced degree scholarships to universities here in the Netherlands. For instance, a Master of Science in Management in Data Science and in Data Analytics. We're promoting a youth ambassador program. So I really want to get to those girls here in the Netherlands and around the world who can be as excited as we are about technology. When I look at entrepreneurialism, I'm very proud to announce that we'll be launching again our second edition of the Role Models Masterclasses. And this is an opportunity for women at any stage of their career to really learn about the attributes that are needed to be a role model Because if there's one thing that gets us excited about choosing for a career in technology, is when we see other people doing great things and that we want to emulate. But one thing is, we don't have enough role models. And so we want to train and teach people through our master classes how to become a fantastic role model yourself to inspire the next generations in technology. Well, we have a pitch program and helping individuals who are entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs to find their voice either on the podium when you're pitching to VCs, or entrepreneurs who are working on getting their message across inside of your own corporation, or in fact in front of a board. And this is a fantastic way of helping you to find your confidence and find your voice. And we're also looking at thought leadership programs in science innovation, for instance, an executive tech roundtable, and really wanting to bring the latest and greatest thinking into the room in terms of what is happening in technology and how diversity and inclusion can help us to up our game around the world. These are a few of the areas that we are very focused on in programs that we're driving and delivering in order to have a significant impact in the next 10 years through these sustainable development goals. And obviously, nothing can be done on one person's own. So we have a fabulous team here for sure here in the Netherlands and around the world that is made up of our media and communications team, our community leaders, and business development. And in these areas, we're working together as a fantastic tribe in order to promote the work that we want to achieve here in the Netherlands. One of our recent joiners is Zenka Dubois, and I would really love to welcome her here as one of our new community leaders based out of Amsterdam. And Zenka is very excited to be a part of our mission to help us to run more events and to bring this information closer to women and girls out of Amsterdam and the rest of the Netherlands. And also, I would like to mention that Adriana Masnoy has joined us as our business development leader. And she's really looking at those relationships that we want to build around the Netherlands with corporations and communities, and keeping relationships warm while we look for opportunities together to continue to close this gap. So if any of these types of roles sound interesting for you, of course, media and comms, not to mention, is really at the forefront of what we do in terms of all of our social media and promotions. If there's any area that you feel you would love to contribute to, please get in touch with us, because we're always looking for very dedicated and excited people who have as much passion as we do in closing this gap in technology. So just a little bit of a word there on who Women in Tech are, what we're here to do, and of course, inviting anyone who has the passion like we do to get involved and to be a part of this mission, and let's make a difference together. With that said, what I wanted to do was make a quick bridge into tonight's program. So we've shared with you that we're focusing on the theme of taking charge of your career. And I wanted to reflect very briefly with you on some of the things that to me have been very important in my own career. And in fact, I chose this image to share with you, and it was during a session that I had with a woman who I tremendously admire and have as a mentor in my life. And you can see, at least I feel, I'm glowing in this picture because I'm just so happy with what we could discuss together in this particular conversation. And I've thought so much as I was preparing for meeting these speakers tonight, and this theme of taking charge of your career, and understanding the fact that as I reflect on that, there's so much you can do as one person to take charge of your own career. And there's a community of people who are also there who can help you along. And I think it is these people that I would like to give credit to and tribute to, who have really helped me a lot throughout my own career. And there were a few things that these individuals, like the woman in this picture with me, have done for me that have really made a huge difference. And it's something that I would put under the theme of calling empowered visibility. Because if we are not being seen, we are already starting in a deficit in terms of how we really want to take charge of our own career. And so a few reflections in terms of what women have done, and men, to help me, and what I now have done and am continuing to try to do to help others. And I wanted to just reflect on those points with you. So one thing is to empower other people by persistently shining a light on their achievements. So if there's one thing that I've learned is to really cast a light on what other people do and be proud of them for what they have achieved, and really shine a light on what they're doing. Be that person who sees something in someone else. The number of times that, I've been in my career and I've thought about, gosh, I'm not so sure if that's something I can do or if I'm ready for that. And that someone else saw something in me and they were willing to help me to recognize that in myself. Well, be that person that recognizes the talents you see and tell that other person what you see in them. Open a door to them and encourage them to step through it. Sometimes we have to push people through that door and even pull them through, but be the one that opens a door for someone else and encourage them, really give them that motivation to take that first step. When you have made your way through that door and you're finding yourself in a new space, give space to people to learn, help them to fall, help them to learn how to fail, and help them to learn how to get back up and move forward once again. I think there's not one career that I know of where people have not failed or fallen. And what I really think is so important, and certainly what I have learned in the times that I have fallen and failed, is the importance of getting back up and how you do that and how you then again take that next step forward. There's something that I have also observed that I think is just so valuable, and it is about being consistently and kindly honest. There's this one word, which is feedback, that a lot of us don't really like. And maybe if we look at it about offering your perspectives to someone and sharing an insight where the best intention is to help that person, not to tear them down, not to throw them under the bus, but to be kindly honest and be consistent in that feedback, in that perspective that you want to share with them. That will really help that person through. Also, helping people step out of their comfort zone. How many times have you needed that nudge because you just weren't sure if you could step out into that new space? Never stop believing in that person. I think the one thing that I would reflect on are the numerous people who, even in times when I was doubting myself, they certainly never gave up on me and they never stopped believing in me. And that has really powered me to want to keep going. And last but not least, I would just say, pay it forward. So when you're in a position to offer empowerment and create that visibility for someone else in your environment, pay it forward and recognize those that have done the same for you, and learn how to then do that for others. And there's a beautiful four-word phrase that I would just love to end this reflection with you on for now. And I think this is also so powerful when you have the opportunity to say to someone else, I believe in you. That is significant, and that will really power someone to keep going despite any challenges that they may be facing. And these were a few reflections when I thought about how I have taken charge of my own career, but what I think is so important in helping others who are working on their career to help them to continue on. And so, with that short reflection from my side, I'm really looking forward to hearing from our experts tonight. And I will stop sharing my slides, and I will ask Savannah to join me also back again in this space. And here we go. There's Savannah. And I hope that helped to get the conversation started tonight.
Definitely. What a great motivation. And I also like to thank you for believing in me, because you're such a great role model. I think that's a very safe thing to say. Having been in the role model masterclass program myself last year, so I would definitely also recommend people to join. And Kara, I've received some questions via LinkedIn, and people were asking how to get in touch to take part in the program.
Fantastic. So if you'll look us up on LinkedIn and you'll recognize this blue and green logo everywhere, Women in Tech, or search for my name or even Savannah's name, and you'll see the association connected with us. We're posting like mad right now, if I can say, on the Role Models Masterclasses. And it is a series of 4 that we're starting in September, and we're asking people to stick with us on this journey because we're going to look at your persona, your passions, and your presence, and really take you through some fabulous sessions. I'm very excited about the speakers and the master classes that we will have. Of course, everything is free, so please join us from that sense, but come to all 4 sessions. When you do, you will receive a role model certificate from Women in Tech that says that you have made it through all 4 courses with us. It's a total of 8 hours of content. So please join us for that, and you will find the registration through our internet sites on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Kara.
Yeah.
Then now I would like to introduce our next speaker, which is Natalie Nathan. Hey, Natalie.
Hello.
Hello.
Presentation.
Natalie is an IT manager and community lead of the internationals at bol.com. And tonight she will share her session, which is about embracing your mistakes, imperfections, talents, and strengths, and enjoy the pace of your own personal journey. Natalie, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Really glad to be here in Women in Tech 2020. I really like to share some information with you. I will start to introduce bol.com. I will tell a little bit more about myself, my personal journey, and which lessons did I learn. Bol.com in a nutshell. Bol.com is a web shop that started in 1999 with selling hardcover books. But now, 20 years later, we are the most popular web shop in the Netherlands and in Belgium. We have more than 10 million customers, and we sell more than 22 million products in all kinds of categories. It can be ebooks, music, film, garden tools, toys for kids, sports, and even fashion. We have 2 headquarters, one in Utrecht, Netherlands, and one in Antwerp, Belgium. If we look a little bit at the numbers, we have at bol.com 2,100 IT employees working at bol.com, and we have 550 people working in IT, where only 14% of working in IT is women. So who am I? I am Natalie Nathan. I'm originally from Belgium, born in Brussels in 1971. And I am brought up in a baker's family. My parents had a bakery. They had 4 shops. So I'm raised and brought up in that kind of environment. That means that I'm really used to work since my childhood. I have a bachelor degree in computer science. And in fact, when I was younger, I wanted to become a psychologist because I wanted to be close to people, helping people with problems, developing people. But in fact, my parents said, go following IT, because at that time, IT was booming and there was really a school nearby around the corner. So my parents pushed me a little bit to have a degree in IT. And at the end of my story, I'm very happy about it. I'm still interested in psychology and in people and how they react and behavior. That's now what it is. I moved to the Netherlands in 1969, and now I live in Zeist. It's a little place near to Utrecht. I'm married with a husband from New York. I have 2 children, a girl of 16 and a boy of 10. And currently I am an IT manager and community lead of the internationals at bol.com. My career started at ADP, and ADP is a software development company in human resource tools. And I started in Brussels as a software engineer. I worked there for 1 year. And the second year, they asked me, do you want to go 1 year to work in Hamburg for Philips Lighting? I did that. And the third year, still as a software engineer, they asked, do you want to go 1 year to work in the Netherlands? And the Netherlands, I worked at the Baan company in the Netherlands. The idea was to work for 1 year there, but I liked it so much, the Netherlands and the culture, that I stay here already 24 years. When I started at Baan, I was the only girl in the whole education. So we had to follow a training for 3 months to know the software, to know the tools. And there were 40 people in my group, and I was the only girl. So I remember the day that I stepped into that room looking for one woman or one girl, and there was nobody. So that for me was already a shock, like, am I really the only software engineer in this kind of company or in this kind of tooling? But then nevertheless, I really liked it. And it was really nice because I was with an international team of 10 different people from all over the world. And so after 1 year, I stayed in the Netherlands. I had to go back, and I didn't want to go back because I really liked the Netherlands and the culture. And I started working at Atos Origine, still as a software engineer. And I did different projects and I saw different domains, different customers. But at that time, I was already realizing that software engineering was really nothing for me. For me, it was too difficult. I created a lot of errors, a lot of bugs, but I was still trying to do that role and that function, but I was really seeing that it was not fitting with me. And after suffering so much, I was like, okay, I will go away in here. I will try to go to another company. Maybe the company is not really for me. So I left and I went to Accenture. And there I also started as a software engineer in internet applications. And my first project was on, which is now already 20 years old, is the See by Fly for Schiphol. I made that, I was a software engineer there. But then really the deadlines of the project, the pace and the tempo of the project, the people who are creating a lot of code, and I was leaving behind. So at that time, I really had a lot of stress. And luckily, my current manager said to me, hey, Natalie, software engineering is really not for you. And I said, yes, it's true. I really want to do it, but I can't. It's not my thing. And he was so nice to put me on another role in IT. And I started with becoming a project leader. And I really liked it because I'm apparently very strong in structuring and organizing things. So I had finally another role, and I really liked it. Later on in Accenture, I also could guide a little team of 2 people. And that really made me like, hey, there is more than only software engineering in the IT world. There is also other roles, but I really, really liked. After 4 years working at Accenture, I had making long working days, long commute traffic to home. I said, maybe it's not a thing anymore for me because I also became a mom. And I said, I will leave the company and I will go work for Vitens, Hydron Vitens. That is the water company of Central Netherlands. And there I was a team lead in maintenance and support. And it's again, leading teams, helping people. I really liked it. It was a different domain than project leader, but I really liked it because it was a team guiding teams in a certain domain. So I was really glad that I could do that. After 3 years working at Vitens Hydron, the 2 companies were merging, and I was not really sure if I could have a job there. So I left again, and I went working at Andar Technology. That's a small consultancy company in Utrecht as an IT consultant. And I also really liked my job because I saw different domains again, different companies. But at the end, after, what I did not like about that job was that every time I meet new people, I work for a few months or a few years together, I have to say goodbye again to the people, and then I have to start over again. I did not like that anymore. And also I did have the feeling that I really did not have a connection with my company, like Andar Technology, and also not with the customer. So I said to myself, this is not really what I want to be. I like it, but it's not where I want to be. And at that time, I was really thinking, what do I like about a job? What do I like about people? What do I like about the role, the function? And I really did a thoughtful investigation for myself with all the pluses and the minuses for my next job and my next company. And the results were there, because the next company I was staying is PGGM, and that's a pension administration company for people working in the healthcare, and I stayed there for almost 10 years. So my investigation of what I really like and what I don't like in the broadest way really paid off. So there I started as a team manager of several teams on the domain of SharePoint, still in the software development. I did that for 7 years, and that I really liked it also. And then after 7 years working in that role, my current manager was asking, "Hey, Natalie, don't you want to become the team manager of technical application management?" And I said, "What is that? I don't know it. Maybe." And they really said, "Yes, I know you can do it. Just try, give it a chance, do it for 6 months, see if you like it, and then you can see if you want to do that role, yes or no." And I said, "Okay, maybe I will try, I will do it." And I end up being the team manager of technical application management. I did it now for 3 years. I was responsible for all the technical application management for all the applications at PGGM. And it were pension applications, investment applications, office applications. And I really learned so much. I also, of course, fell down. I had to learn a lot because it was not my domain that I know. But I learned so much so that at the end, I was so much richer and being very thankful that they offered me that job. After being so long time in that company, almost 10 years, I was thinking when they were doing a reorganization, I was thinking, do I have to stay here or do I have to go away? And I was thinking almost 10 years here, maybe it's time to go. So I switched jobs again, and now I am at bol.com as an IT team manager. I'm now working here for 2 years, and I also just love my job. I love the company. I love the domain where I am in. And the reason maybe why I love it so much also here is because I'm doing the role and the function that really fits with me. I do everything with my heart. I want to do a lot with people, being close to people, help them with talents. How can my team grow? How can my team become better? How can people grow, develop? What are the ambitions? And those things really fit with me. I'm still working in an IT world, yes, but really the role that I'm doing now really is me. And I just like it. I just love it. And I will stay for a few more years here. So what is my main takeaway for now is that people in the right place and environment will outshine. And when I look back at my career, I see that. In the beginning, I had a really tough time. I had so much stress. I was not outshining. I did it for 7 years and it was a little bit like hell. But later on, I grew up and I said, I will only do roles and functions that really fits with me. And I really see that it really pays off. And it's not only when I look at myself, but I also look at my teams like that. Like my team members, I really help them with their ambitions, with their talents. If they are not motivated anymore, if they are not on the right place in the team, I help them really to be on the right place in the company or sometimes out of the company, that they will shine again. And I really like to do it. And it's really great to have that. So, of course, I learned a lot through my personal journey. And what did I learn is the first one, in fact, is take every chance that is offered to you. And sometimes you don't see it yourself. People see other things in you than that you see. Maybe you think, I'm not good enough. Maybe other people are better than me. But other people sometimes see things that you don't see. So I advise, and I also did it. And in the beginning, it's difficult, but take every chance that it's offered to you because it will pay off. Then the second one is do what you're good at and you will outshine. And that's a little bit what I see also along my career. I do know in my last roles and functions, I did always the things that I'm good at, and you shine and you have a lot of energy, and that also takes other people with you. So that's really, if you do really what you're good in, you will outshine. Follow your heart and you will create the best version of yourself. That's indeed also the same if you do really things that you like, that you love, where you are good in, what you do with your heart, you will be the best version of yourself. And in the beginning, I was not the best version of myself. I was very stressed out and not being the best version. So really look at your heart. What do you like? What do you don't like? And then you will go for it. Then the fourth one is believe in a few standards and values and go for it. And what I mean by that is that everybody is unique. Everybody has some values and norms and standards. And I'm also going for that. Things in company or things in teams are not going well. And I just don't accept that. But people accept that, but I don't. And I do my best to solve it and to make it better, and to make every tiny step is a step to make things better, because I believe, in my view, that it will be better. And other people, in their view, they see other things. So at the end, you are all together to make things always better. So go for a few standards and values and go for it, and you have everybody with you. And then my last takeaway, in fact, is take moments to appreciate how far you have come. And also what I said before, sometimes you want to take a next role or a next job, but you say to yourself, no, I'm not good enough. No, maybe because yes, I'm not good. I don't have the knowledge. Other people are better than me. But then I learned that also through my career. I look back and I say, hey, what did I achieve? I achieved a few things already. And yes, I fell down, but I learned a lot. So yes, I look at the glass is half full instead of half empty. And that gives me the courage to do again what I want to do. So really appreciate where you came from and what you already achieved. And then you can make the next step. So my closing words are: embrace all your mistakes and imperfections, talents and strengths, and enjoy the pace of your own personal journey.
Thank you, Natalie. And thank you so much for keeping on pushing throughout your career, because now you ended up being where you really wanted to be. I did see some questions coming in from the audience. Would you like to answer them?
Yes, sure.
Okay. One of the questions was, Natalie, in what ways have people helped you in your career?
Yes, that's a good question. How they help me is that sometimes they see things that I don't see. And because I'm normal, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just Natalie, who I am. And I think for everybody, it's normal. But sometimes what I do is not normal or different than other people. So people sometimes point it out to me like, hey, you could do that. So do it. Just try. I believe in you. And also when people believe in you, then you have already won the race, because you are not alone in winning the race. So people sometimes push me, and yes, you have to take it as a present.
Yeah, just like Kara said. So maybe we should all agree with everyone who's watching here that we should all believe in each other and also say that to them. Oh, and the next question is, do you also see yourself move from this role maybe to another in the future?
That's also a good question. My current role right now at bol.com, I just love it. I just love it. And the reason why I love it is because I do the things I really like to do. And I'm close to my team members, close to my teams. The company gives me also the opportunity to do other projects like International's Women in Tech. I'm very involved in diversity and inclusion. And the broad perspective that I have with doing my current job right now, for now, I'm fine. I'm really fine, and I enjoy every day. And I think that's how I look. I don't look in 5 years. I look every day. And if I'm happy, I stay for 20 years.
Me too. Another question. How do you know when you've really found the right place for work?
Yeah.
According to you.
Yeah. For me, it took also 15 years to find the right company that really fits with me. And I worked in Accenture and Atos Origin. They are worldwide companies with 50,000 of people. And I had that experience that is that really for me? And that's also what I said in my story. You feel when you know, I said to myself, I don't want to work anymore in a worldwide company, but I also don't want to be in a company where there's only 250 people, because that also don't give you the opportunities. And it's a smallest company. For me, it will not fit. And that's the reason why PGGM and Bol.com, there are approximately 2,000 people. That's not small, but also not too big. And that's in fact a big, small company that gives you a lot of opportunities. You know, a lot of people, long-term relationships. And that is what you have to find out for yourself, what really fits with you.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time.
Yeah. I see a lot of questions coming in, and in order to stay on time, I will only do one final question now, and the other questions we will answer at the Q&A session, which will be at the end of this LinkedIn Live Insight session. So the last question for you at this moment, Natalie, is: would you say the good or bad experience brought you more clarity?
I think the bad experience. Yes, if I look back at my career, I struggled so much the first 7 years, but I learned also from it. And I said, hey, but a lot of people also say to me, how could you stay 7 years in that role that you could not do, were not performing? How could you do that? A lot of people say that to me. But then I said, okay, fine, yeah, it's true. But now also being there, I can also guide my teams, also software engineers. I can also guide them. I know what they are talking about. I know the problems. I know it's complex. So I think the bad things learn me the most. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, then for now, I'd like to thank you, but let's continue this in the Q&A time at the end. I love doing this. Thank you, Natalie. And for now, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, which is Veena Kakeller. And she's an IT architect at Bol.com. Hey, Veena.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm super excited for your talk because Veena will be talking about how an agile career approach gave her the opportunity that she had never thought of.
Yeah, thanks for your introduction. Yeah, I'm really excited that I can share my story with all your in this session. So I just start with a quick introduction of myself. I'm Veena Kakeller. I'm working now in the IT for almost 15 years in very different positions. Born and raised in Utrecht, so I live in the same city as Savannah, and I live near Bol.com. I finished my Master Innovation Science in the IT direction, and at the moment I'm working for Bol.com 7 years, and I'm starting next September my 4th position, so also in different roles. I'm living with my husband and 2 small kids. They are 3 and 6, and in my spare time I really enjoy festivals. Even that's not possible at the moment due to Corona. I play piano as well, and I'm hanging around with friends. So I start in high school. Everybody, when I was in high school, then they ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And to be honest, I didn't have any clue at all. When I did some tests, and they always say you should be a teacher of art. And I'm really bad in art, and I didn't like teachers at all. So because I didn't know it, I just always gave the answer, I want to be a kangaroo. Not because I really want to be it, even it is fun, but the question I didn't have an answer for it. But yeah, when I finished my exam, I had to make some choices what to do next. So what I did is I had 2 principles for myself. I thought, okay, how can I have a nice career? Let's start with 2 simple principles. So the first one is just have fun today, because I like to have fun every day, and keep all options open. So if you make choices which leave you with lots of options, I thought, well, maybe if it is possible to become a kangaroo, I can be that. So I went to the technical university because I thought, well, that is quite a high start qualification for your career, so that will leave me many options. So I finished my master, and I started my career in different positions. So on the left-hand side, you see my finishing my career, and on the right-hand side, that's me as an architect. That's what I am at the moment. In a very short overview, I started as a software tester, then I was an information analyst, then an IT architect, and in September I will start as an IT transformation lead, but I will come up later on it. My two principles, what I learned during my career is what I don't like, that I feel like I'm in a dead-end job. And a dead-end job is not that it's really boring or that I will be fired soon. But for me, a dead-end job is a job where I can't learn anymore. So if I have to do the same trick, then I always think it's time for something new. And I think the first time I experienced that was with my first job as a software tester. I did that for 3 years, and I was after 3 years, I was a senior software tester, and I also was a teacher for learning people to be a software tester. And then I was thinking, hey, if after 3 years, I'm a senior tester, can I do this till my retirement? I thought, no. So let's do something else. So that was for me the reason to become, at that time, an information analyst, where I saw many, many options. But the further you are in your career, the harder it is to find a position with many, many, many options. And I was still having that same two principles. But last year, I thought, now it's time for an extra principle. And the third principle I added to my professional career is experiment. Last year, I was an IT architect at bol.com for 6 years. And you have to know that it's a really, really, really cool position. You have lots of autonomy. You guiding a couple of Scrum teams toward nice IT solutions. You're helping the business. So it's a nice position. But it's also a position with not much career possibilities, because it's more or less kind of an end position. So I thought, okay, what will be next? And maybe I just have to try things out, because I don't know what is a next good step. So I thought maybe I should do an experiment to be a manager. I'm an IT girl. I really like autonomy, and I don't like managers. But I saw that as a manager, there are many options where you can be a manager on different levels in the organization. And I've never done it before. So I thought, how cool would it be if I could try to be a manager for a while, just to see if it's true that it doesn't fit me. Because maybe it does fit me, and then it's a nice way out for the feeling that I have that I'm now in a kind of a dead-end job as IT architect. So, sorry, this is my cat. So I was thinking, how can I do an experiment with being a manager? Well, and luckily at bol.com, the managers doesn't look like this picture. They more look like this. So I saw one of my previous colleagues which made some nice career moves, a girl on the business side of bol.com, and she was a manager, and I saw her walking around with a big belly, and I thought, oh, it would be so cool if I could replace her during her pregnancy leave for 6 months, because then I can really experience how it is to be a manager. So with that idea in mind, I thought, I'm just going to make this work, this experiment. So I went to my manager, told him about my plans. And he was amazed, and he said, okay, well, let's try it. Just make it work if you think it's a good idea for your career. So I went to the lady, and to be honest, I was kind of scared to ask her, can I do your job? Even I really knew her. But I thought, well, just ask her. And she was really excited about the idea. She said, yeah, I think you are actually a good manager. So it would be really nice if you can replace me for 4 months. So everybody was enthusiastic. So I decided to replace her for 3 days a week, and for 1 day stay in my old job as an IT architect for the logistic domain, because after 4 months, my assumption was I should go back to the architect function, but with a bunch of experience. And I thought there are two outcomes possible. One is I like to be a manager and I will take steps to become one, or I'm a very happy IT architect. And both outcomes would be great. So I just started, and I thought it's good to share you some of my learning points, because I started this experiment with 3 questions in my mind. And the first one is it fun to be a manager? Well, actually, when I started, it was in the beginning of Corona, the beginning of March, and the first day of my manager experience, Holland went in a lockdown and the schools closed. So I end up sitting at my desk at home with 2 kids running around. So it wasn't fun at all. But after a week, I thought, okay, this is the experience you was actually looking for, because as a manager, you have to manage unexpected situations and make sure that your team knows what to do and still feel comfortable. So, well, that I tried to achieve with my team, and they were quite happy with me. The next thing I was asking myself is, do people like my management style? Because maybe I like to be a manager, but my people don't like it at all. Well, I was sitting at home with my kids running around, and I was thinking, okay, what is my management style? I had no clue at all. So I just did what I always do as an architect. And it appears that my way of working as an architect fits perfectly as a manager, because you have to be aware of of everything that's needed to be done, about if people like the solutions you're coming up. And even my temporary manager, he was really enthusiastic about my management skills. And the third thing I want to learn is, am I okay with a step away from the technology? Because as an IT architect, you're really into the technology and involved with all the teams and really into the content of all the problems. And I was amazed about myself, because I loved it. I really loved it. Because in all my previous jobs, my role was to solve problems. And I like solving problems, but it's also kind of tough to always be the one who has to solve the problems. And as a manager, you could just ask your team, please solve this problem for me. And it feels kind of comfortable. So my experiment was, it was really good. And after 3 months, so the girl I replaced was coming back. I was thinking, okay, what will be my next move? Am I really going to apply for a management position? Or am I going back to as an IT architect, because I still love that as well? But besides those learning points, there were also many unexpected results. So I want to share those with you. And there comes the opportunities I never thought of. The first thing, what I really was amazed about this, was even before I started my experiment, people talked about it, because it's an unusual move to do an experiment with your own career for 4 months. And when I arranged it, people start talking about it, and in the alley and everywhere, people were just saying, oh, it's so cool. I really want to know what you learned, how it is with you. So that was really nice. I had lots of nice talks about my experiment. The second thing, what I didn't expect is the IT department gave me a job offer I couldn't refuse. So they saw my ambitions, and they also saw that I was capable of being a manager, but that it's not my natural role. So they asked me if I want to be the IT transformation lead, and what I'm now, and I said yes to it because it's a really cool job. So what I'm going to do is guide all the IT teams at bol.com. So there are 100 Scrum teams to adopt a new way of working. So at the moment we have a service architecture, and we're going to move to a product architecture. It's really a big change, and I'm going to guide that. So it's because I did this experiment and I was that visible that they saw me and they gave me this offer. So that is really cool. Another nice unexpected result was that someone else found a nice job. I forgot to mention it earlier, but when I started this experiment, I had to leave my old job as an IT architect at logistics, and I should do that in 1 day a week. Well, I understand that was quite challenging. So I asked somebody from the business if he was willing to take over some of my architect tasks. I knew that guy for a while and I thought he was really good, but he was a little bit scared to apply for a job in the IT department because he didn't have any IT experience. He actually did a very good job. So everybody was really enthusiastic about his skills. So he now has my previous job as an IT architect at logistics. So it helped him as well, my experiment. And the last unexpected result, I'm a speaker at this conference. So that was not the plan at all. But I did it and it was, I really like it to be a speaker here. So that is more or less the end of my journey. And I want to share 2 takeaways of my story, 2 things that really, where I think it's inspiring everyone. So the first one is for your career. Dare to be the director of your own career. So it was really an adventure to set up this experiment and to convince my manager and the manager on the business side that it was really a good idea to replace someone with a pregnancy leave, because you have to think about, I'm on the payroll of IT and the girl I was replacing was on the payroll of the of a business department. So they all like my experiment, but it's not a usual setup. So you really have, you should dare it and just tell your manager about what your career plans are and what's on your mind, because in the end they want to make sure that your career is going well. And if they really know what you want to do, then they will help you. So that's really cool. And something else I learned, which is also, I think, an important takeaway. It's a takeaway for managers and for the HR department. I think every long-term planned leave is a career opportunity for someone else. So if you think about more and more people planned long-term leave, so sometimes it's a sabbatical, but also in Holland, the daddies can have a long leave if a baby is born. And I really believe that if you see those people who were temporary on leave, if you see those as a career opportunity, you can have many people who can experiment with their own career. So it's really, if you are a manager, or if you become a manager, see pregnancy leave as a career opportunity for anyone. So that are my 2 main takeaways. And that's also then coming to the end of my story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm open for questions.
Well, I definitely enjoyed that. And I really like that last tip. And not just for managers, but also if you're, for example, someone that is looking for an opportunity and you know or you want to go out for a little while, you can also just go up to people and say, hey, I want to leave, but maybe that's an opportunity for that person.
Yeah,
I really like that. And I also find it super cool and inspiring to see how you just went for it. You just go for it. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and I see some questions also here. The first one, Veena, what did you enjoy the most about being a manager? And of course, what did you enjoy the least?
Yeah, what I enjoyed the most was having a team. You must imagine that as an IT architect, you're more or less a one-man show because you are the IT architect. And of course, you're working together with people, but it felt so different to be the leader of a team and really go for the results with the whole team. So that was something I really enjoyed. And now for my next position, I really am going to make sure that I have the same team feeling, because I really enjoyed that. So that's personal. And what I didn't like is, I think there is some yeah, you are a lot in meetings and the politics around it. I didn't like that
Yeah.
much. So I'm really open and transparent, and I was also as manager part of a reorganization, and then you all get secrets that you can't tell things, and I'm not good in that, in keeping secrets. So, but that I didn't like the most. That sometimes you know things that you can tell to your team, and that's not part of my.
Understandable. Another question. What were the qualities that Bol.com saw in you when they offered you your promotion? And were these traits you knew you had yourself?
The main thing they say is that they say you are a true leader, so a natural leader. So I'm capable of convincing people on all levels of the organization. So I can convince developers to go for a solution, but also the highest management, I can convince that something there. So I think they didn't see that in my management experience, but they saw it in how I started the experiment, because that was an example of leadership and taking the ownership of your own plan and make it happen and make it work. So I think they saw that and then thought, okay, well, we need to have a true leader to make this big change in the IT department.
Yeah, super cool. And now Sabine Kersens is asking a question as well. And she's saying, as a woman in tech in the Netherlands, the culture is about being open, but it's also a culture that expects male characteristics. How do you show yourself while maintaining a professional image and fit in?
I think it's important as a female in technology to not be a male. So I always try to be as female as possible because I am a female.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because if there are many men on the table, then also the jokes become sometimes male-ish jokes. How do we say it? And I always try to not to be like that. I'm not laughing, but I try to mirror it a little bit. So what are you now actually trying to achieve with what you're saying? So I think it's important to be a female, to be as female as possible in a male organization.
Cool. Okay, there are lots of questions, but I'm going to ask you one now, and then we'll save the rest for the Q&A part.
Yes.
The last question for now is, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? And do you know what it is?
No. Imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. So that basically means that you think of yourself like, oh, I can't do this. They just put me here. But I don't really know what I'm doing. But if they find out that I'm not even capable of doing this, while you're actually just doing it.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I'm always quite convinced about myself. So there is in Holland, and maybe in other countries you know her as well, it's Pipi Langkous. And she's a girl with red hair, but she has there's a quote from her where she says, "I've never done it before, so I think I'm capable of doing it."
Yeah.
And I really try to keep that in mind. So, okay, I've never done it, so probably I can.
Super cool.
I'm really optimistic about my own capabilities.
Oh, that's a very good thing to have. Thank you, Wieneke. We're moving on because we're running a little bit late already. Right now, I would like to introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker is Quincy. Quincy Dahl. Hey. Quincy is the founder of Hello Mentor. And today he's going to talk about how mentoring could change lives and also about the value of mentoring. So Quincy, up to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me over in this special edition of Women in Tech. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how mentoring could change lives and what it's done to me. And just briefly, who is Quincy? Just start with the beginning. I'm Quincy Dahl in the middle, of course. Left to me is my girlfriend. To the right, there are my nieces and nephews. And in the middle, there's my little son called Max. And I think mentoring starts at parenting, actually. I live in Amsterdam. I'm a geek and a nerd because that's a strange combination actually. And right now I'm focusing on the study to work transition and how we can help to develop the talents of young people the best way as possible. And these are kind of crazy times with everything online. So I think there's lots of work to be done. Mentor. We use different names for mentors: a guru, an advisor, a guide sometimes, the guru again, the confidant, a swami, I like that word as well, a coach, a counselor, a teacher as well, so a form of a mentor, a tutor, and sometimes a guardian angel. And I think the core of mentoring is helping people to develop themselves. So for me, when I talk about mentoring, is having people around you who are going to help you in some phase of your life in making the next step. And as I'm a little bit of a geek and a nerd, I try to find out, okay, where does the word mentoring or mentor come from? And when I looked at the Cambridge University dictionary, it came from this is their description. The act or process of helping and giving advice to younger or less experienced people, especially at job or at school. So it's really about giving and paying your knowledge forward to the next generation or the experiences you have. But still, I wasn't satisfied. I thought, okay, where does the word mentor come from? And I looked into the history and I searched the web and I came to the following. During the 10-year Trojan War, the one with a wooden horse, they attacked and everybody came in, the whole rant and stuff, Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, left his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus to lead his army. He placed Telemachus, his son, under the care of a guardian called Mentor, whose job it was to protect and guide him. So that's 3,000-year-old reference of the word mentor, and it was all about protecting and guidance. And I think, oh, that's kind of cool. So I did further research actually, and I came to this part. It's the godly intervention of Athena, goddess of wisdom, war, and crafts, that ultimately lent its meaning of the modern word mentor, and not mentor himself. So what happened? Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war and crafts, she shapeshifted into mentor, because mentor, he actually wasn't a really good of a mentor himself, but still, because she had the shape of mentor, everybody refers to mentor as the mentor, but actually it was the goddess Athena. So the first actually mentor, or the word mentor, was actually Athena. So that was the first woman who actually was the mentor. And I think mentoring for me, what really helped, or what a mentor for me does, is somebody who's going to help you to explore your reason for being, and gives you insights in some parts of your life, or some wisdom of your life at some points when you need it. And a few years ago, I think 5 or 6 years ago, I came across this concept called Ikigai. And it means a reason for being. So what's our reason for being? So how can we help, or yourself, look at yourself and what are you doing when you're here in this world? And there are 4 different sectors: what you love, what the world needs, what you can get paid for, and what you're good at. And when you find your mission or your goal or your work, when you're able to combine it, it's called Ikigai. And I think, as well in the previous presentations, that's something we're all looking for. Something what gives us fulfillment, something to do what we love. And a mentor has a special role because he can help you to achieve that. A little bit about my story. My first mentors, or Athenas, were my mom and my sister. I grew up here in Amsterdam, in the southeast of Amsterdam, and my mom and my sister were actually my first actual mentors. And they helped me to grow, to be curious, to don't be afraid. When I was at my primary school, my sister was always protecting me, and just to help to develop myself. And when I grew, I went to high school and I was kind of curious, like I said, and I was really into science. The principal had to become my math teacher, so the school principal. And that was somebody who always opened his office for me. So whenever I rented something within my high school, he was always there for me, just to help me, to listen to me, just to guide me a little bit. But when I got to university, I really had a hard time. I was a teenager. I didn't have a father around me to develop myself. So I was not really a role model at that point, actually in a crucial phase of my life to help me. And that was, I think, still, when I look back, maybe the hardest part of my life, that I didn't have somebody around to ask questions to, just something. I started working pretty quickly as a young professional, and then somewhere the CEO got to notice my talents, and he's like, okay, my son is really curious about the work we're doing. We're working in the HR field and recruitment, and teach him something you know. And later on, when I started working a little bit more, he was like, you have to do something innovative. So I was like, okay, I hear you, Mr. Mentor. I founded my own company, and I got in touch with the university, and my primary goal was, I was in recruitment, was mainly sales driven. So how can I really help people? I was 26 and I was like, is this the end of my career? Just to do targets, make money, and then somewhere down the road help people? No, I really want to help people. So I had an open office down here at the VU University in Amsterdam, and students can ask me all sorts of questions about skills development, internships, my network, whatever. It was really cool. So other students from different universities came to my office just to ask questions. And they're like, wow, this is something really we should embrace, just to help people and share your knowledge and experience to the next generation. And from a small concept, Hello Mentor was founded. Till the day and today, I have my own mentor. I do peer-to-peer mentoring actually as well. With a girl I knew from a dance somewhere, and we coach each other. So mentoring is such an important role, has been in my story, but still in maybe as well in my future. So I think every 4 or 5 or 6 years, somebody comes in your life just to help you out and give you some sort of tip. You should do something innovative. Why not try this? And it helps you to create your path and be in charge of your own career. But it's worthwhile to somebody have you around just to help you, actually. So why mentor? Well, I think African proverb says, like African proverb says, you need to have many people around you during your life just to help you to develop. And I think it's for a mentor as well to be sometime the fist below, in the middle, or on top if you need some help yourself and you have fist down below. So I think it's really important just to also pay your knowledge forward, like Kara just said in the introduction. And maybe the best advantage is to teach is to learn twice. When you teach something, you're going to learn how you're teaching, but you're also going to learn about the person you're teaching to, from the person you're teaching to. So mentoring has so many benefits, I think, in society, and I think we should really embrace it. And I think it's a little bit undervalued still. Maybe in the US it's different, but I think there's so many opportunities to help each other out and to connect each other. So my question is to you. Are you Telemachus, the son of Odysseus, who was the one who needs some teaching? Or are you going to be Athena, the mentor, the true mentor actually, and you want to give some advice to somebody else? So we are really working on to combine those two forces to build a community of learning and teaching, because that's where the true value lies. A village is about a network, it's about learning, it's about experiencing, it's about knowing yourself, but also about getting help at some points in your career. And that's for me where the true value lies of mentoring. And it's a little bit of a background about mentoring. I like a story a little bit. So for me, it's just for you, pay it forward. If you know it, if you have knowledge, please pay it forward, because you're going to learn twice if you like to learn, and people will really be happy with your teachings. So this is my presentation. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Quincy. I love that quote as well. Really nice. We have a first question, and I encourage the audience to keep sending in questions. The first one is, what makes for a memorable mentor?
I think it's the right time, the right information at the right moment, and it sometimes can be a sentence, but also somebody who you can get in touch to at a frequent. So mentoring is it's not defined by time. It's defined by the experience you're going to achieve. So the mentee or the mentoree, his experience of the interaction, or her experience of the interaction, like I had with my mom or during my own course. Sometimes it was just a quote that I will always remember. Sometimes it was the whole experience that I will remember. So just be there and be open to pay your knowledge forward.
Cool. Then another question. How can we get involved to mentor people?
Yeah, I hope Karen and I will
also
work together.
Outside of work.
Sorry?
Also outside of work.
I think as a parent, mentoring is a part of your program. Voluntary work, for example, taking care of the elderly is a form of mentoring as well, taking care of. But if we look at women in tech, I think right now I'm working on a study to work transition, and there are so many young adults, diverse adults. There are so many questions, especially during these times with COVID and everything is online, that you can have added value just by answering questions.
Yeah. So just approach people and talk to them.
Or make it able to be approached.
Yeah.
And yeah, be visible, like the role models. You don't have to be like already a role model, but you at least mentor somebody in your network or somebody who's studying, because the one who's studying right now doesn't know everything about the industry yet. So the experience you have with the industry, for example, like Veena has, is so valuable to share that knowledge to the next generation. If you can only help one or two people, that's where the paid forward concept comes from, then we get like a ripple effect where everybody gets helped. So it's really about paying your knowledge forward to the next generation and just help one or two people. Just start by helping.
Cool. Next question is, how does becoming a mentor evolve? And then behind that, the second question is, what are the best attributes of a mentor? But maybe start with the first one. So how does becoming a mentor evolve?
It's about, I think, is intrinsic motivation. I think what we're doing is always looking for mentors who are intrinsically motivated. So we don't need to force you to be a mentor. You really want to share your knowledge intrinsically. And the second question. So, about the first question, you can always teach something. There's always something somebody else doesn't know. So don't be shy to be a mentor, because or else you're going to learn, because the other one will teach you something. So just be open to feel and to learn as well.
Yeah, I also like the quote, failing shows that you've tried.
That's a good one as well.
I see another question coming in. Is a mentor only an experienced individual then? How can a young professional start or portray a strong mentor?
The way we look at it at this point is that there's so much information already known. That's mostly known by people who have the experience. So, but what we see is as well that the mentors sometimes themselves say like, "Whoa, I learned so much," and then I start thinking like, who was the true mentor actually? Like, was actually the student at Tina, and were you Telemakus? So there's always and the interaction between the mentor and mentee, that's so special. That's why you learn twice, because there is not just like, I'm going to teach you something and I'm done. No, you're going to learn as well. Maybe you learn more than the mentee has done. So that's the beautiful part about mentoring. It's not a one-way street. It's definitely a two-way street.
Yeah, and to that second question of how can a young professional start or portray a strong mentor, what would you answer to that?
Start to portray, like be a strong mentor, or what can you rephrase?
Start, yeah, I think be a young mentor, be a strong mentor.
I think peer-to-peer learning is a form of mentoring as well, where you teach each other. So if you just find peers in your network, I speak to lots of in my network. Like my mentor is a peer of mine. She's around about my same age. She's 5 years older than I am. And she's like, oh, I really like these sessions. And I have the same. Oh, I really like this session. So it's not a goal to become a mentor, but really just to be open to be a mentor, actually.
Okay, cool. For now, I'll ask one more question, and then we'll go to the Q&A part with all of us. Yeah. The last question is, are there certain types of people we should avoid having as a mentor?
Oh, but you can also learn from those people, actually, but you have to be aware that you're also a former person yourself, and be aware of who you are yourself. And because somebody tells you a story or how you should do it, doesn't mean you should do it. So also about be critical about the advice you're going to get. But there's something that's more in a personal skill, I think, to be critical about the information you get. But I don't know if I can say this right here, but there was a quote like, I don't take advice from people who are successful to me. Like sometimes you can learn more from people who aren't successful about their stories. Like, why did you make those mistakes? Because then you might not make the same mistakes. So sometimes when you get a wrong mentor, you will learn like, okay, that's the way I definitely don't want to do it.
Which brings it back to the fact that everyone could be a mentor.
Exactly, yeah. And they were open. Even the bad mentors were open to be a mentor. So.
Yeah. Good. I'd like to invite Kara back and Natalie and Veena. And then we can maybe answer the questions that we still have. Because I know there are some questions that we should still answer. Welcome back, ladies. Let me go through them. Yeah, so one of the questions was for Natalie. Since you mentioned you did not originally want to follow an IT path, when you were still an engineer, did you want your pace of your personal growth to have been faster?
No. If I look back now, I'm very thankful also for my parents at the end. Yes, very proud of my parents also for the bakery, and also that they pushed me a little bit into this career. At the end, I'm very happy because I really do a job that really fits with me and that I love to do. And I created myself what I like to do or don't like to do. So at the end, I would not have done it differently. Very happy
cool.
Right now. Yeah.
Great. And then another question for you from Angela. She says that she could really find herself in your story. And her question is, what are the next goals in your career? What's your action plan for pursuing them?
Yes. And like I said before, currently I really love my job. And not only being a IT team manager, being close to my teams, changing processes, I like what I do. I have also and maybe the reason why I don't have ambitions is because I really like it. And because my current job is so broad. I have my teams, but I can also participate on other projects like diversity and inclusion, women in tech, internationals. And that makes every day for me, of course, there are also bad days, of course. But overall, I'm doing what I like to do. So, and I look day to day. And in the beginning, when I was younger, yes, I had really ambitions and I want to work for the big companies. And I did Accenture, Atos, Origin. I really did it. But now I'm a little bit older, of course. And I said, I just want to have a fun job, a job that I like to go to. I like the company. I like my job. And maybe I do this for 20 years, which is fine. And yeah, I learned along the way. Yeah.
It's not
And
fine,
yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
I saw another question, which was, as women, do you think we suffer more from imposter syndrome than men? And if someone has imposter syndrome, how would you advise to deal with this?
I can answer that. I can start answering that. Is yes, of course, and it all comes by experience. In the beginning, I had it also. Of course, I was not doing a good job, and later on, I was also applying for jobs. Of course, yes, and you are a woman in a man's world. Yes, absolutely true, and you pay the price for it. But along the way, as long as you have a lot of good experience and you look at your successes, and you look when your glass is half full, I really took that like, hey, I did it before, I can do it before, so now why will I, maybe I fail again, or I don't fail, but I always think it positively. But I think experience and the time will gives you more energy and more, hey, I'm just also even maybe a little bit more word than a man. But I think experience, that's my tip, in fact. Maybe Wieneke has something else, but experience is for me my main tip.
It's experience, and don't be afraid to fail. So I think if you are aware of that you can fail, and if you are open in it, if you think you're failing, then people can really help you. So yeah, don't be scared of making mistakes and doing it wrong. I think that will help a lot.
And maybe to add on that one, also just to try to be vulnerable as well. In my work, if you're honest, honesty brings you so far.
Yeah.
Because we don't know everything yet. So, but being able to tell that you don't know it yet, also the vision behind the yet, that gives also so much opportunity.
Yeah. You just tell them that you're scared that you can do it, and then they will convince you are capable. So be open and vulnerable. It really helps.
It's a great line of thought. And there was a question from Shirisha that was asking about how do you overcome the corporate politics. And Veena, that question came in, I think, when you were speaking, but actually what we're just talking about right now, right? So it's how do you show up authentically, and what is this impact of the corporate politics having, and how do you overcome that?
Yeah, actually, for me, how I did overcome that was to not apply with it. So my main issue was that then people gave you some information, and then they say, yeah, this is secret. And I was thinking, yeah, but I can't do my job very well if I can tell my team what's going on. So I decided to not keep it secret. And I told my manager as well. So the one who said this is a secret, I told them, no, I'm going to tell it to my team because they need this information. So that's also to do with openness. So yeah, find your own way to deal with it.
Cool.
Exactly. And Savannah, there's another question actually. So about dealing with competitive colleagues that are maybe kind of envious. And Katty was asking this question. So how do you overcome these kinds of situations? Maybe Quincy, Veena, and Natalie, dealing with competitive colleagues that might be envious of your success.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can answer that. When I feel that when I see it and when I feel it, when I feel something that is not correct, I just say it on a friendly, polite way, like, hey, what's going on? And I put the big elephant, in fact, on the table. And then you will see that you have another relationship. You start having another relationship, and that you can really have the discussion about what is going on and why. Why is it, and why do you feel like that? And then you can have a conversation about this topic. And that's how, because I feel it sometimes, or when I was younger, I felt it, but it does not feel right for me. And if something does not feel right for me, I open the conversation and I put it on the table. So yeah, I think that brought me also so far, that just being open and direct and just say what is going on. And also being vulnerable, like Veena said, also being vulnerable. It's also like, hey, yeah, it really makes you stronger.
Yeah. Quincy, how have you dealt with these situations? So if people were showing up a little bit competitively or maybe envious of your successes, how did you handle those situations?
For me, it's also about self-reflection and looking inwards. Like, okay, what am I doing here, and what other people are feeling is also part of their world. So sometimes when the moment is right, I address it, but I always look like, okay, if you're so competitive to me, I don't make it my problem actually. So I'm trying to focus on why I'm doing things and how I'm trying to do things. And usually, because when you are focused a little bit on your own course, and it's truly something you feel truly passionate about, if there's something that somebody else is feeling or is competitive about, if he's truly passionate about it the same himself, you'll find each other. Then you'll get like a friendship in the end. And if not, you will lose him, and then it was just a minor somebody who just was competitive with you, and I don't care anymore. So it's also about being persistent in your own goal and course. Yeah, being persistent.
Nice. I like your response to that. And Veena, have you experienced this as well? So having people that when you were the manager, for instance, or in other your career.
Yeah, I think when I see people who are competitive, I maybe a little bit what Quincy is saying is I'm trying to get them on board and work together. Because quite often they are also very capable in something. And they have a reason why they are competitive. So if you can join your efforts and become friends, and then you can actually achieve more together than alone. So my main tactic is to get them on board and work together instead of starting a fight.
Savannah, there's a really beautiful question here, I think, as well for Veena and Natalie, since Quincy, we heard about your mentors in your life, and there was a beautiful question from Priyanka that was asking, so Natalie and Veena, who were your mentors? And would you be willing to share some of those stories with the audience tonight?
Yeah, I can start. I think my mentor wasn't aware he was my mentor. So, in the previous job, there was a guy, and when he enters the room, he had exactly the same ideas as I had, but he could convince everybody, and I was not capable of doing that. So I really realized myself, and I just looked very well what he did, and I just copied it. So make it own, but it really helped to just look to people who you admire. What are they doing? And try it out by yourself.
Yes, I can agree with that. And I also had my previous manager in my previous company. He was really also mentoring me. And in fact, what I learned from him, he really left me alone. And just do whatever you think is the best. But if you need me, then I will be there. And it was fantastic. I learned so much doing my thing, just also drowning in a swimming pool. But when I needed him, and he was there for me. And in being independent and doing your thing, but also knowing that somebody will back you up and help you when you need it, then you can really make the most steps. And you can learn, you can fall, but you always have somebody who will help you through the process and through the road. So that's really, and that's also a little bit what I try to do with my people in my teams. I really manage by exception. If they don't need me, I don't monitor. I don't. I do it by when they need me, I will be there, and I am there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you work with trust.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. I'm not sure if you've been following the comments that are being posted via YouTube and LinkedIn, but I would definitely recommend you read them back because there are some great compliments for you on how you've done. And there are even a few more questions that we just couldn't answer right now because we just filled up the whole time that we planned. But with this, I would like to wrap up. And I would like to thank Natalie, Wieneke, Quincy, and Kara a lot for tonight. And I also like to thank our audience for joining. We really enjoyed having you here and how you've been so active and asked all these questions. And for now, we would like to wish you a great day or evening. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.